It's being slow. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to Sick of This Shit Publications.
Hey.
I'm Nick Paro, not your dad, joined by my good friends, Dr. Eric Lullove, medical editor at Blue Amp Media. Eric, how's it going, brother?
I am fan-fucking-tastic. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I am feeling so empowered today because I just know that they're going to take my vote away next week. So
yeah, probably. Yeah, we'll get into that. Don't worry about it. Rights,
okay.
What are they good for?
Listen,
Walter?
I worked all night on that line. Don't take it from me, okay?
Well, it just took the wind out of me. I was excited about hearing about empowerment, and then it went away.
And then you were like, "Oh, fuck this." And
Yeah.
we're joined by our good friend Walter Rhein, the protector of Labradors.
Protector of
Welcome,
Labrador.
brother.
Thank you.
For
So good to be here.
today's Diogenes Club. Rights, what are they good for?
Oh,
Walter? Rights, what are they good for, dude? How are you, man?
Rites of passage or just rights? Are we talking RITEs or RIGHTs?
RIGHTs. How many can be taken away? How many fingers do you have, and how many? And can we count from 10 to 0 on the 10 list rights that they are going to take away?
I'm done letting them take any rights. I am taking their right to take my rights away back from them. How about that? That's over.
Yeah.
I do no longer recognize their authority to take my rights.
Yeah. I do not accept their reality.
This is what I don't get, guys. And I know this is going to be I'm sure the chat's going to start exploding. But like, what is like, this is like, okay, Nick, you grew up playing chess. Walter, you grew up playing chess. I grew up playing chess, right? So why does it feel like that these people are playing tiddlywinks? Right? This is not, they're not playing chess. They know that this rubber band's going to come back in another direction. I mean, it's going to come back. I mean, you snap it one way, it's going to snap harder the opposite direction. That's the way inertia goes.
Yeah.
Well, they know it's going to go one way and then come back unless they do everything in their power to strip all of those, to cheat and strip everything away before people actually wake up. I think the good thing is people are actually like very awake right now to what's going on and are seeing exactly the fucking damage that's being done. And they're not Republicans anymore. I'm not using that label because they're not the Republican Party. They're just the regressive right. And that's who they are.
No, they're fascist Nazis. Call them what
they are. They're fascist Confederates.
Yeah.
They're older than Nazism. They're fascist Confederates. They might even be older than that. Like I don't know.
Fucking eugenicists.
No, it's the Confederacy. It developed over time. That's what it is.
Yeah, like we got to use the real words, and I don't know what's more powerful to people because everybody has been numbed to the word Nazi or anything about that because everybody was called, and people said it right, but correctly, but it was used so many times to describe people that it lost its true power and meaning. And they're just regressive fascists. Like it's a new confederacy of regressive fascists, and that's it in my eyes. And like they want to take all our rights away. They want to regress us backwards. They don't want to take our rights away. Like we're white. They're not going to touch ours for a while, but they're going to take everybody else's. And that pisses me off because none of us should be above the other in a category of just because we were born with a lighter melanin content.
Any encroachment on humanity, though, affects all of humanity, I'd say. And I think there's a misconception, I mean, we do need to, and I mean, I appreciate what you were saying there because so many white people think like, well, this isn't my fight. It's like, it's absolutely your fight. And you're not insulated by this, and what Nick was illustrating was like so many people are lulled into this complacency. You need to start getting excited because what's going on right now is serious. But in addition to that, I think what we're witnessing is this desperation. And, having grown up in an abusive relationship, in an abusive household, once they start recognizing their power is going away, they get more and more desperate. They more and more show their hand. And even though it seems like they're, rattling their sabers and they're blustering and they think they're being powerful like always, it is the action of desperation. And I am confident that this is going to crumble soon because they have overstepped. and everybody knows they've overstepped. I think we're already in the reparations phase, actually. People keep saying it's like we have to repair the damage of this regime. I think we're already started the process because this regime has already collapsed. They just haven't recognized it yet.
Well, this is going back to, this goes back to the Martin Niemoller poem.
Yep.
And for those of you who don't know who Martin Niemoller was a pastor in Germany back in the 30s. And he wrote a poem called First They Came. And we've all heard this, but I'm just going to read it real quick because it's
nice.
quick.
Nice.
First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So, this is what happens. This is how authoritarians take power. This is how fascists take power. This is how a fascist, white majority Supreme Court takes power away from the people, which we're going to get into. But point being is, listen, as a Jew, this is getting really close to hitting home hard because people are speaking out and they're still fucking doing the stupid shit and they're still doing it. I don't know if they're looking for a revolution. I don't know if they're looking for people to take up arms and they're trying to and he's hoping that, you're going to wind up having his own version of the SS in the streets of the United States, which there are not enough of them. He's pissed off the veterans. He's pissing off the military. He's pissed off the academics. He's pissed off the youth. He's pissed off the independents. He's pissed off the Democrats. I mean, who's left to speak for him when this is all said and done? Because they can all hovel up in the White House as far I'm concerned, and we can burn that thing to the ground like the British did in 1812. Okay? We can always rebuild it, which we're going to have to anyway.
Yeah, it's been
we're going to have to demo half of the wing. We're going to have to demo the ballroom anyway. But my point being is when we are all here saying we've had enough, and we've been, you guys say this almost daily. I do it at least a couple times a week, either through my notes or through a live. And I know the people in the chat have had enough. People at defiance.org have had enough. The people at Blue Amp have had enough. Charles Armitage has had enough. Katie Fang's had enough. Jim Acosta's had enough. I mean, we all have had enough.
But we have places to apply pressure.
Blue MAGA Congress people don't get it yet.
See, and that's it. And because we keep enabling them, we have to put pressure on that Blue MAGA. And that's what we've been doing with these primary. It's like, you can't go to a Democrat and say, would you please stop taking AIPAC money? And they'll be, they'll say they're BS, but they'll keep doing it. The only thing that's going to stop them or change them or pressure them is if we start elevating their challengers. And this is exactly this whole mission. And it's really upsetting me because the media is so complicit. The whole fucking media has been complicit with enabling this regime. They never mention, and that includes many of the celebrity journalists on Substack. They're starting to really piss me off. And this week I had to take a deep breath moment because, you guys have been so wonderful and supportive and helpful. And I wrote an article because I was ranting and raving. Then I'm like, here's the people who've helped. And then it was a list of 30 names. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And that kind of helped me feel a little bit better. But it's still not enough because our society if somebody has the signatures to get on a primary ballot, that person deserves media attention. That's a fact. And our media doesn't interview these people because they'll come on and say, I'm not taking AIPAC money, unlike, my opponent, Hakeem Jeffries or whoever it is that they're running against. So we're not putting this pressure on our Democrats as we should be.
Yeah. And we have a special guest joining us for a couple minutes here. And I'm going to tag her, make sure she gets tagged at the end of the show. Hopefully her video comes up here in a second. Dana, can you hear us?
Yeah, it's a slow emergence of Dana. It's beautiful.
It's Dana slowly coming out of the dark.
Dana may have to drop and come back in because sometimes. There she is. Hey, everyone.
We're joined by the redhead.
The incredible Dana Dubois. What's up, Dana? Hey. Do you have any rights?
By my standards, this is an extraordinary amount of multitasking because I finished the Daily Whatever show, got myself here, and I'm now walking to my building at my day job.
I thought you were going to say you were on a unicycle.
I am not. I'm walking. The bouncing up and
She's on
down.
a unicycle, right?
Well, I mean, it is Seattle, so seeing somebody on a unicycle going down the street is not
would
an
not be-
odd thing.
Yeah, not really. It's not as common and as it used to be, Nick. I think it's
That's a
Seattle's
shame.
a little less weird, but Portland for sure. You're going to see unicycles. Probably
So,
costumes.
So
Yeah.
Dana, there
Yes.
was a Supreme Court ruling yesterday, or hearing yesterday, or ruling,
Yes.
whatever the Supreme Court did. The Supreme Court is stripping fucking rights away, or trying to, and putting the final nail in the coffin into the Voting Rights Act. And
Yes.
Louisiana responded very quickly. What are your thoughts on rights being taken away in this extreme way?
I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. And I have to admit, I have not heard the latest out of Louisiana. All that I heard was it was a 6-3 ruling. It did, as per usual, not go the way we were hoping. Sorry, I'm just orienting myself to where I'm going. Can you fill me in on the latest? How did Louisiana respond?
It sounds like Louisiana, and I will correct myself if I am wrong here, but I saw reporting, I believe it was from Aaron Parnas this morning, that
Okay.
Louisiana is canceling their in-progress election.
Oh boy.
What?
Because
they're
of the
canceling the primary.
maps. They're canceling the primary because of this
the rescheduling,
decision and rescheduling it. But people have already cast their vote.
What?
Wow.
This
That
is
So
is
from
it's
democracy
already
docket.
after voting
Yeah,
has happened.
How do you
Yeah,
can't
so-
wait? Who is doing the canceling, Nick? Like is it one party or another influencing it, or is this a neutral body that's like, while this is in flux, we simply can't have elections right now? Do you know?
Here's the story. So
Okay.
Governor left Jeff Landry and the
Okay.
Attorney General Liz Murrow in a joint
Okay.
statement. The Supreme Court previously stayed an injunction against the state's enforcement of the current congressional map by the court's order. That stay automatically terminated with yesterday's decision. Accordingly, the state is currently enjoined from carrying out congressional elections under the current map. We are working together with the legislature and the Secretary of State's office to develop a path forward. Most mail ballots have already been sent out, with early voting due to start on Saturday.
Man.
They are going to basically, the Louisiana officials have made it clear on Thursday that the state's primaries will be postponed so lawmakers can draw a new congressional map in response to the VRA gutting. The move will likely give the GOP 1 or 2 additional seats in this year's midterms. The Republicans currently hoard 4 of the 6 congressional seats already.
I mean, it's Louisiana. That's not surprising. But God, we just, as you were saying all of this, I'm like, the words that just keep flashing in my head are like chaos agents. They're just trying to put elections in so much chaos because Americans already have a problem with not voting in big enough numbers. And when it feels chaotic or hard to do, they're just far less likely to turn up when they're like, I don't even know what district I'm in or who I can vote for. It's too much to pay attention to, right? They're just looking to disenfranchise and create chaos. Again, I'm just going to keep repeating that word.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like,
they
what
don't
a
need to pass.
mess.
They don't
What
need to
an
pass. They don't have to pass the SAVE Act. They can just gerrymander districts, so that you go to the wrong polling center and you have no idea what district you're in.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so,
Look at what
like,
Florida
we have a hard enough, right? Oh God. Respectfully, Eric, I don't like to ever look at what Florida did.
Yeah.
I know you're there. It's my, where I grew up, but man, Florida.
I mean,
I
the
just,
thing is, this is the thing that bothers me with this whole ruling.
yeah.
The Voting Rights Act was the constitutional jurisprudence in response to Jim Crow era segregated voting, right?
Yeah.
And then so
Suppression.
the VRA was the remedy.
Yeah.
And now the current Supreme Court has basically turned around and said, well, that remedy is unconstitutional.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the remedy
What
that
a
was
mess.
supposed to cure the remedy basically undid the remedy,
Yeah.
which now makes it legal to go back to where we were back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did say they wanted to go back to the 1800s.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
So Here we
You know
go.
who you guys should talk to about this is Ann P. Marshall. She is an attorney, and she just
She was on
posted.
with Zev yesterday. She was amazing.
I know, like the happiest thing I've done in a long time as a matchmaker. I'm a really good matchmaker. I have 3
Love to talk
couples
to her.
I know who've been long-term married who met through me. I haven't set up
Yay!
anyone romantically in a long time, but introducing Zev and Ann was like the biggest no-brainer ever.
Yeah.
And the way that like he was like, we need to elevate you. And he's had her on a show a few times. It makes me so happy. But she just posted about this yesterday. And I will fully admit I have not had a chance to read it yet. But her take at the beginning was like, calm down. This isn't as catastrophic as you think. And I wish I'm on my phone, or I would grab the link to share with your audience. But
Oh,
you
we
all
can
might
do
want to, because I find her, because she's a lawyer, she does tend to present things in very just, she
Yeah.
says yay and a lot of exclamation points, which I love that she lightens it up with a little humor. But she also, it's comforting that she generally comes into stories with perspective of like, this isn't as catastrophic as you think, and here's why. So I'm at my office now, and I'm going to have to drop sadly, but I would say if you can find her story from yesterday or 2 days ago, I think it was yesterday, share it, because I think she had a lot to say in there that would probably be
I'm
great for
putting it
this
in the
conversation.
chat. Nick, I'm going to send
Great.
it to you.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Because I'll link it in the post show. Dana, thanks for jumping
Thanks,
on with
Dana.
us.
This was so
Dana.
fun. Oh my
Good to
gosh.
see you.
So
We'll
good to
invite
see you too.
We'll invite you back again so that we
Oh,
can
yeah.
actually plan this out.
On the walk
Oh my
to
God.
work. Always talk with us.
Anytime. You are 3 of my favorites. I would love to join in the fun. So now I need to go into and care about my day job. Wish me luck.
Oh, good luck.
Boo.
Oh,
Boo.
I'm
Good
very
luck.
grateful
Good
for
luck.
it.
All right. Thanks, Dana. We'll talk
Bye.
to you again soon.
See you, Dana.
Sounds great. Bye.
We gotta
Oh, it's
be
so
active.
awesome having Dana.
Yes. We have to be proactive now, though, and find the primary challengers, the courage candidates in Louisiana. That's what we need to do, because this is in the news, and we need to hear from the people that are most directly affected by this. And I need to see other creators doing this, reaching out to them. We need to see the big creators talking about them, because the time is now. And this is what makes me upset, as our big media conglomerates, they fret, but there is this direct action we could take to talk to more people about these things. I think that's really important.
No, absolutely. I mean, you and I are doing it. Eric, we were talking about it before the show about like, it's really tough when some of these folks do reach out too. Like I've had a lot of folks, I've started getting a lot of folks reaching out for the candidate interviews. I'm sorry that I might have a little bit of a lisp today. I bit the inside of my lip and it's pretty swollen.
That's the worst.
So it kind of hurts.
Ow.
It's hard to get responses back from some of them, not because I think they're ignoring us in the long run or even in the short run. I think it's they don't have someone helping them. They don't have a PR agent, or they're doing it on their own because they're super bootstrap budget and low budget, because that's what a lot of these candidates are trying to also prove, is you can do this without spending buku amount of money.
I have a solution for that, Nick.
Yeah. And I want to hear it. Yeah. Is we are continuing to reach out though. Like I still, like, even if they don't get back to me, I message them back a couple days later and I'm like, hey, just following up. Even if you missed this last one, let's get you scheduled sometime on my schedule. Like you give me times, I will make it work. And that's what I'm going to start doing for them.
Yeah,
it's like, here's some times. And like my immediate is always, I send like 2 or 3 date times. And I'm like, hey, do any of these times work for you? If not, send me back one that does. And you guys can do that too. Just talk to Kira Havens. Find out like how you can become part of this. If you have any sort of podcast following, talk to Kira Havens and invite her on, talk to her for an episode, and then she will put your name into a podcast pool.
Yep. What you need to do is, because I know you've been working really hard. I've been seeing all these interviews you've been doing. The candidates you've already talked to, they're the ones that can reach out to these other candidates. And you can say, hey, Joseph, it's like we talked, you can come on again. It can be the 3 of us. And then he'll reach out, because all the courage candidates are kind of together in a group. I've been setting something up with Erica Kopp again, with somebody who's running in Colorado. And it's easier for them because they're used to that. Like for me, it's just a strange name in their inbox. But if it's from one of the fellow courage candidates saying, hey, here's a media opportunity, it'll be you and me and Nick, then it'll get set up. That helps just speed things along. Plus, I mean, all of them are and they've all been great, and all of them are still looking for more exposure. But we really needed to pressure, the Jim Acostas of the world and the Heather Cox Richardsons and all of them to just be promoting these primary candidates. That will put pressure on our do nothing Democrats. They'll start doing something. We will see. That is action we can take today. We're not waiting for the midterms. We're not waiting for the next election. Our Democrats have plenty of power. They have plenty of things that they could do. And the fact that they sit on their hands is because they're not really challenged, because they're insulated, because they've dismantled this primary system. So we have to rebuild that primary system, put pressure on our existing Democrats, and then vote them out anyway.
Okay, so I talked to Oregon gubernatorial candidate Brittany Jones yesterday.
I did too. We were right after each other, I think.
And she talked about it in a way that governors could be doing more, that attorneys generals could be doing more, but also she broke it down into how like law is viewed on a hierarchy within the US, and the fact that nobody is enforcing treaty law within our own nation for any of the treaties we have ever signed with any of the First Nations people or anyone else. And she was like, yeah, I'm just going to enforce treaty law. And that will solve so much of these problems, because those treaty laws are already built in to protect the environment, to slow down for things like data centers. They would have to slow down and do environmental studies that are much, 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 much more rigorous than even the EPA.
And expensive.
And more expensive. And nobody's doing it. Like, we have all of these fucking laws in place, and I don't have the money to be the one who files those lawsuits. I was wondering why my glasses had this weird like blue light reflection all of a sudden.
No, this but like that's right. This is it's a UV flashlight. So I have a new. There's a company that I work with that has a new. Everybody's heard of Dermabond, right? For like skin lacerations, it's the cyanoacrylate that they use to glue to kind of stitch your laceration back together. So they have a new company out. Actually, DeRoyal, they have a new product out that doesn't have cyanoacrylate, so it's not irritant to the skin. So this is what we have to use to activate the glue, is the little UV light for 30 seconds to kind of, sorry, I didn't mean to like kind of throw everybody off. So
no, you're fine. I just think treaty law is something that we need to start enforcing, and politicians and elected officials just need to do the basic thing, is do their damn job and enforce the law. So
this is a term I use with a lot of the companies in my sector. When you look at companies and they just haven't come up with, like, there's an old adage in corporate America of people who are so worried about keeping their job that they don't do their job.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And it's across every aspect of every sector of every industry in the United States and around the world. When you start getting complacent about doing your job because you're too worried about keeping it, then you forget how to do your job. Yeah. And I think that's where we are with a lot of the blue MAGAs. They've gotten so comfortable there that it's about being there. It's not about doing the job anymore. It's about just being there and the power and the money and the PAC money and the dinners and the Beltway dinners and the But what did that get you? Up until this point, you had the King of England come to the United States, and not one Democratic senator, not even the Senate Majority Leader, nor the ranking member of the House, was invited to that dinner. So what did all of that get you? Bupkis.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're so corrupt, and they've trained the media that this is just normal. So the media is corrupt. It is the media's responsibility to be elevating their media, Walter. I'm sorry?
The media is owned by the people in power. So it's not like...
Correct. And that's why it's our responsibility right now. We can't be complacent either. And we just have to apply that pressure. And I'm keep telling you, it's going to start with these. It started with us. We're the ones interviewing the people, but that's where the pressure is, to let these representatives know we're not going to sit there and let them do nothing and to spew their bullshit about how that's all they can do. They have had plenty of power. We gave them majorities in 2020. They did nothing with that. They need to go. And they're not going to go, though. But it's like everything else really kind of feels like a distraction right now. We have to put pressure on the people who have power to act, today. And that requires a change of thinking about all the people on, whether it's independent media, we'll start there and move on to legacy media, hopefully, or dismantle it. But until we start pressuring our Democrats that are sitting right now with power and elevating our progressives, we're not doing much.
No. Yeah. And
I just want to say something, and this is something that Anne wrote in her piece when we talk about the Voting Rights Act and how, remember when the Supreme Court issues a ruling, they're issuing their ruling, which is the instructions on the lower courts on how to interpret the law. Okay. It's not like the Supreme Court says we're gutting the VRA and that's how we're gutting it. We're just Article 2. They didn't take Article 2. They didn't take Section 2 out of the VRA. They just basically came up with another ruling that is to instruct the lower courts on when these cases come up on gerrymandering and districting, that this is the new standard by which you are to follow legally. And remember, one of the things, and this is what Anne said in her piece, was that this applies to both parties equally. So,
yeah.
And that's obviously going to depend on the judge hearing the case, right? So, but the point being is that if a voter or a block of voters have a problem with the way a district has been redrawn, you can't use race anymore as a justification for the lawsuit. It's got to be where it's benefiting a political party over, you got to prove that there was an intent to defraud the district, which is a harder, it's a harder level to make. It's a harder argument to make, but it's doable. But it's applying to both parties. Now, here's the thing, who makes that determination? It's going to be whoever's running state attorney general offices, county attorney general, state attorneys. This is why elections have consequences. This is why all of these neo-fascist stinking butt wipes, we have to vote out. We have to. There's the only way we're going to fix this.
They're all white supremacists.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're racist white supremacists, including the Uncle Tom on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I thank you to Natasha, who actually told me don't make Clarence Thomas white because it takes away his identity, but he's still a traitor and he's still a white supremacist, even though he's an African-American male, but he's still a racist white supremacist and just,
And our Democratic Party hasn't protected the black vote at all.
No.
They lecture
the Hispanic vote
them, correct, and
or the younger voters or women or.
I mean, they had the voting rights, the John Lewis Voting Rights Restoration Act sitting on the table. They would have had to overcome the filibuster, but then just like,
but Schumer wouldn't pull the nuclear weapon and just go to 51 votes.
Yeah. And I'm shocked the filibuster is still in effect, to be honest. I thought that was going to be long gone. So
yeah, well, they've wiped it out. What have they wiped it out for? They
don't need to overcome.
They wiped it out for appointees and judges and treaties and
bit by bit.
The only thing that they've left it in for is funding appropriations.
Stuff Democrats want, or stuff the people want,
Yeah, and answering a question from in the chat, Courtney, you asked this yesterday too, and we didn't get to answer it with Brittany. Is there any concern that enforcing treaty law would make the tribes more of a front and center political target? It's hard to say if it would or not. That said, we have to start using the laws that are in place to their fullest. Whether like they do everything in their fullest to hurt us, like we can't be afraid to use the law in our power. Like we have to fight for, and yes, it will probably put a target on the backs of tribal treaty law. Maybe it's time we reassess some of the tribal treaties so they're actually fair. Maybe we need to do this so that we can expose how white supremacist some of these treaties actually are in the first place so that we can fix them. It's that catch-22 of being a Democrat or being pro-democratic in this way is I don't want to abuse the power that we have, but we need to use the power that we have. And Walter, you said it really well the other day, was we don't need permission. We don't need to get consent to defend our rights. We don't need to wait for the government to consent to say, yes, you can defend this right, you can't defend that right. They're attacking us. We can defend our rights, and we don't advocate for doing that violently, because there are ways to do it without violence.
I also want people to kind of resist this temptation to be like, well, maybe it'll be worse. Start thinking maybe it'll be better, you know? And I think abusers always get you a lot of their power, abusive people. They make you convinced that you, first of all, you know, imposter syndrome, you're not as good as they are. Anything you do is going to fail. That's entirely white supremacy thinking, where you're afraid to even try to make things better because you're so convinced you're going to make it worse. It can't get worse. We can make it better because we are smart, you know, we're educated, we have compassion, we can take action and do good, and we have to have the courage to do it. And if we start doing something, we see it's not working the way we intended it, we'll change it. But we're not going to sit around and just concede that the way it's imposed on us right now is the only way it can be. We have to fight. We have to stand up, and we have to shake off this fear. We have to shake off all those self-doubts that have been artificially imposed upon us to make us complicit in our own oppression. Get rid of that shit. My whole life, when I was raising my kids, I'm like, I'm not going to do this shit the way everybody tells me to do it. I'm going to do it my way because I think I'm right. And you know what? My kids are fucking great. And other people should listen to how I do things because I know how to do it. And you guys know how to do shit too.
Just like a proud parent, my kids are the best.
They fucking are. I'll put them up against anybody. And I hope your kids are as good as mine and that they all can rise up together and make a better world, because that's been the whole point, right? Because we haven't done it. What's sitting here right now isn't good enough for them.
Yeah, and I don't have the answer to all of this question either on, is it the right choice? Is it the good thing to do? I'm not part of many of these communities that are impacted. I do know, as a person with disabilities, is that it's my need right now is to stand up and use the privilege I have to openly talk about my disabilities and normalize it and make it part of the dialogue, that we discuss these things and that it's who we are and that we live with them and that we overcome them. We have to discuss these things, because we can't, it's the tool of the abuser to say, well, if you use the law, well, I'm going to come after the person who the law was aimed for, so they can't use it and you can't use it in the future.
Yeah.
That's pretty abusive, is to just say, well, you can't use this to defend yourself, because if you do, I'll take the rights away from anyone else in the future.
Yeah.
Specifically the group that it was made to protect originally. I'll take their rights away so that they can't do anything and you can't do anything. We have to, we cannot ask for consent to defend our rights like this. We have to keep fighting for it. We have to keep encouraging our institutions that are there and use governors and states that are pro-democracy more fully than we are.
You know, I think we got into I think we as a country got into a false sense of just routine, right?
Inevitability of failure.
It became routine, right?
Yes.
Everybody sacrificed, everybody did what they had to do during World War II, right? So we had this huge period in this country of massive economic growth. Everybody, big middle class explosion, industrialization explosion, suburban America explosion, but people were still being left behind. You know, then we had the energy crisis in the 70s, and then really around 1980 is when this shit started turning. Heritage Foundation, they kind of had it the conservative part of America kind of had enough with the 60s. You know, they liked the mom and pop store with the wife staying home, wearing the apron, white picket fence, the, Lucy Ball, the Lucy Ball show, and and just like this white America of a white picket fence and two kids and a dog, and then the 60s and kind of changed all that. And then it got more progressive in the 70s and with more, what you saw with the downgrading in New York City and San Francisco and Chicago. And then you had the 80s and you had the corporate boom in the 80s with the recession, right? And the cities kind of came back in the 90s. And then it's just this, we go through this ebb and flow of society.
Yeah.
But this is not a flow. This is not ebbing. This is like is they want this and I guess the biggest. Hey, there's Niemoller. And then I'm just gonna finish my thought, and then we'll bring her on, and then we can. But my process here is that if we don't pay attention, and it's easy for us to get in routines. This is like being in a 20-year marriage where you're kind of going through the motions, right? And things are getting a little stale, and you need to spice it up. My biggest comment has been they're trying to do here in 2 years what Orban did in 16 in Hungary.
They're over their skis though.
Instead of doing it slow and kind of just biting it away, they're doing it in this rapid formation, which is why you're seeing such a but now they're overreaching. Now it's an overstretch. And now this is, like I said, this is the rubber band snapping back. So anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get Ms. Green on.
Welcome, Naida. How is it? How are you today? And welcome onto our show.
Thank you, Dick. I hopped on like late because I've been working on trying to figure out how to write this piece to connect what's happening with the Voting Rights Act and how it's going to impact every other community, because I'm going to explain this in a way that makes sense. I live in the North, right? I live in New England. I'm originally from New York. So we keep talking about the voting Section 2 like it's just race. It's also language minorities. So I'm going to explain something to most people who don't know. In the 1920s, New York State passed a law around how people needed to register to vote. It was around language. It was not around race like in the South, but it was around language. It was an anti-immigrant way to keep people who did not speak English out from being able to vote, regardless if even if they were U.S. citizens, right? By the 1960s, the people who were impacted the most were Puerto Ricans. Now, I'm going to say this, I am Puerto Rican. Puerto Ricans come in all shades. Puerto Ricans are as white as Walter and as blacker than me. So I just want to make it very, very clear that Latinos are not a race. They are part of a language minority. They can be part of a race, but not necessarily. I have family members, like I said, I have said this before, who are white with blonde hair and blue eyes and dark and blackety black, like darker than me. So I just want to say that, yes, it's going to impact the South the hardest federally, but in the North, it's going to impact villages like Portchester, where they fought to eliminate at-large council races and to put in districts. And these were majority or substantially Latino, Spanish-speaking Latino communities that fought for this stuff. So I'm going to say this now to everyone who's listening. Every community needs to wake the fuck up and understand that this shit is going to roll downhill. And I usually do not curse like this, but ironically, I was on a call yesterday with a member of Congress discussing a bill about Truth and Reconciliation Commission for the United States when this decision came out. So I need people to wake up that, yes, this is a majority Southern problem, but it's also a Northern problem, not based on race, but based on language. And as a Northerner who comes from descendants of slaves on my father's side and people who are not descendants of slaves on my mother's side, I see both sides of it. And this is going to suck for everyone. So wake up.
I think part of it too is we've become Naida one. Thanks for saying that. Just like super clear, super easy for people to hear is this impacts everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. And we have become so accustomed, I think, in the US of only considering issues on a north-south basis
Or black
that we
white.
forgot that the entire fucking country exists and there is no north-south in the US. It's
Not
everywhere.
anymore.
Not anymore. It's everywhere. There are people who are very pro-progressive and pro-democratic and pro-democratic republic. Let's say that. Because
Not
Naida, I
everybody-
know you're not considered a progressive. You would be considered in many circles a traditional conservative, not someone who's regressive, but more conservative. And we talked about this. It's pro-democratic republic right now.
Yeah.
Is we are pro just things that
Humanity.
don't suck, pro-humanity, and we have this pro-decency agenda that all of us care about that really unites us. Like everybody is affected. Every part of the country has people who are pro-decency and regressive. That's it. Like that's at this point. And if you're moderate, you're regressive. If you're trying to moderate this discussion around like the impacts of fascism and what the fuck is going on, you're regressive at the moment too, because you're allowing regressivism to happen.
You know, and I see where this is going, because remember the same Supreme Court in 2019 in Rucho versus Common Cause, you know, basically blocked the political gerrymandering, but now they're basically saying that all of it's fucking legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've been dismantling it for years, for decades, the Voting Rights Act.
So this is why it is so vitally important that we win local elections.
That's where it starts.
The local congressional, the local state house and legislature elections become vitally important to prevent these racist shitbags from permanently rewriting congressional maps at the state level.
I agree, Eric. This is what I'm going to say about this. As somebody, and the reason why I didn't reach out yesterday is because I was busy getting ready to go to a civic event in my city, because I serve on my city's disabilities commission, and so I was getting ready for that on top of like doing the work. It's so important at the local level when when they're talking about voting, because again, not all states have county government. I live in Massachusetts. We do not have county government. We have city municipal election boards that you go to those meetings and you speak up and make sure that all this crap doesn't happen. The other thing I want people to understand is that the people who are going to be eliminated in the South are generally, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them are pro disability rights, justice, and liberation, and pro LGBTQ rights. So we cannot pretend anymore. If this was the 90s, we can kind of be like, okay, like if they gutted this in the 90s instead of now, we can be like, oh, okay, people with disabilities just got their rights. LGBTQ people didn't have their rights, but they're doing this so they can say trans people don't have rights, so they can reverse gay marriage across the country and make it hodgepodge legal depending on which state you live in. And so they can say they don't have to educate people with disabilities. That's what they're trying to do. And if anybody says otherwise, I say this all the time. I have a bridge that connects the city of Cambridge, where I live, to the city of Boston to sell you.
Yes. And they do it on multiple fronts too. It's not like just one tactic they're deploying. It's again and again. That's like when we say election integrity. There's you could write volumes on the way that these people are trying to erode our rights. It's never just one thing. And getting back to what we were talking about before, when people get just this idea of like, well, we can't fix anything because anything we implement will also be sabotaged. There are always going to be efforts to sabotage every good idea. Our job in life isn't to like, oh, that's been fixed. Until the end of our days, we have to fight against oppression. That's our job as decent people. And we need to just change this mindset where not doing anything, like doing nothing, is somehow the most responsible course of action. It never is. We always have to try to fight back in a way. We have to combine our best minds, work hard, implement things, fix them as needed.
Well, Walter, I'll only push back in the case of like when you're except when you're very emotional. Okay, or
Yes.
you're angry. That's the only time to not make a decision.
Well, we'll have to start the conversation then. In that case, yes. Well, that's why we have groups. That's why we have think tanks. That's why we have academic. Well, but this is why we have a think tank where we discuss what the appropriate action is and then do it. And if you have somebody in your group who's sitting there saying, "Well, no, there'll be this problem," it's like, you give me a solution. Don't sit there and if the only thing you're offering is problem, that's a saboteur. Get them out of there. Get people that are willing to come up with answers, who are willing to believe that we can have a better society, because we've got so many people in the United States who just insist that it's just not possible to have a government that works, that humanity is not possible to defend. They'll say things like, well, it's just not profitable. Profit is evil then. You can use profit to justify all kinds of crimes against humanity. We have to change our mindset, and we have to take action, and we have to stand up for each other.
Yeah, we're not problem finders. We're supposed to be problem solvers.
Correct.
And you're supposed to solve the problems that are presented. And yeah, we may find problems. We then fucking solve them.
Guarantee will.
We work to solve them.
Find. As we learn, you find new things and you fix them. And by the way, it's so great to have
you. No. I'm building off what you're saying, Walter, here. I think it's great is we need to stop having people just come into the room and shit on every idea.
Yeah.
And then go, well, I shit on all your ideas. Now you solve what I just shit on so that I can go shit some more.
Yes.
Because that's just the Cleveland steamer of life. And I don't want people walking into a room shitting on my table or my chest and going, well, now it's your problem. No, you started the damn problem. You offer a fucking solution, which is don't do that shit. And we can work forward from there. And that's what we're trying to do.
Why do we treat civil and political decisions differently than the way we discipline and handle our children? It's the same dirty diaper.
Yeah. It is. It's because we treat women like shit in this country, and we treat not just women. We treat anyone who's not straight white male like shit.
And not straight white male and non-disabled,
fully able-bodied male.
Yeah. Because you could be rich, and if you have a disability, they're treating you like garbage because they make fun of Greg Abbott and call him Governor Hot Wheels, even though he's rich, straight, and white. He has a disability, and they only tolerate
Have you actually seen the wheels on his wheelchair? He actually made him in like a Hot Wheels car.
I know. I know. That's what he calls himself. But now he's turning. But it's been weaponized against him. Within progressive circles. I'm not saying, but I also am not co-signing, I'm going to say this, if the disability community had a cookout, he would not be invited because he's ableist and racist as hell.
No,
so
he would be
just
be
say.
He'd be on the short list of those not going.
Yes, exactly.
We'll give him the wrong address. We'll make sure he's invited, but just not where he wants to go.
Just the wrong address.
Just make him the guest of honor. Put him on the spit.
Put him on the spit for roasting. As well.
Oh gosh, yeah, no.
Just roast him for the whole time. I mean, we can. That's the thing. Is like, it's also the difference between criticizing people about personhood and personality traits, and there's a very big difference between criticizing someone about their personhood, which they cannot change, and which is part of the fucking problem, which is why men are so able to just go around and demean women all the time and anyone who's not them all the time, because we're used to, as a society, demeaning people on their personhood and not their personality, which for the most part, personality is a choice, and you choose to have some of the personality traits that you do. You choose to be an asshole. You choose to be a rapist. You choose to be a pedophile piece of shit. You choose to be an abusive fucking asshole and garbage.
I'm concerned with
why we don't demean people for the most part on personhood, unless it's men demeaning men with body parts that are soft and weak, because it's not demeaning to call a penis soft and weak. They're soft and weak. they're also really annoying and get inserted in places that nobody fucking wants them. And so these regressives are like penises. They insert themselves in places nobody fucking wants without
I think
permission.
this is like the
too
fourth
many
week in a
times,
row that Nick
and we
has
need to
gone
get them
a
out of here.
phallic- This
What?
is the fourth week in a row, Nick, where you've gone to a phallic analogy.
I always do for these people.
I know
Like,
you do.
there's no escaping this phallic analogy.
But
Like,
all right.
that's who they are as people.
Nick is right, though, and I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
I'm saying this as a woman. I am not offended because you
Yay.
know what? I'm gonna say this, and this is the difference. And I will say this as somebody who has more conservative leaning views in certain spaces. I'm like pro humanity. Is that I have a thick skin. Like I'm not like into like you have to be politically correct all the time to get your point across. Because I'm gonna say this right now. We've tried politically correct, and we've tried the whole like.
Yeah.
We've tried everything.
We can't say this because this group's going to be offended. We can't say this because this group is going to be offended. Meanwhile, we have groups reclaiming other words that are totally offensive, like queer. And I am a member of the LGBTQ community, and I hate that word. I think it's a word that needs to go into the dustbin of history. But hey, but those reclaiming words like that is okay. But when we start, not being, when we start fighting fire with fire and turning their ableism or their racism against them with similar tactics, then we need to be above it all. And I'm like, you know what? I am not taking a baseball bat to a gunfight. That would never be me. And I say this all the time. I love Gen Z. I love older Gen Alpha. That's my cousins and my nephew generation. But Gen X and older millennials, especially and I say this like about Gen X, especially Gen X. Walter, I don't know what your birth year is.
You're fine. You're fine. It's all okay.
He's not a boomer.
But
I'm Gen X, but it's fine.
I'm gonna say this. In my experience, as somebody who has Gen X relatives, my Gen X relatives born before 1974 are more like boomers than Gen Xers that are more. I'm just saying, in my experience, as
the oldest one in the room, who's a Gen X before 74. Okay, I would have to dispute that.
Well, you can dispute it all you want to, but the reality is based on history.
I am being the elder statesman in the room here. Walter's not that far behind me, by the way.
Oh, listen, as a white man, I recognize white men are the problem. As Gen X, I recognize Gen X needs to do better. So it's like I don't have a problem with let's have the criticisms. I'm
throwing the criticism around because I think it's fair. I can actually say it as somebody who came of age as a Gen Xer in the 90s versus Gen X in the 80s. It's a different experience. You tend to be more progressive. There's a portion of Gen X still in their 40s, and if you break down the voting, how people voted for the current occupant versus Harris, it was a 50-50 split. Gen X was mixed in there. The younger Gen Xers were mixed in there. It was the older Gen Xers who were 50 and above during the election. Most of them were born 1973 and before.
And I'll tell you why. That became a financial conversation, and it wasn't about the content of the personality. That was an economically based.
It was not just economic, because you know why I can say it's not just economics, because I live in the Metro Boston area, and all of those Gen Xers who were like protesting the busing, all of those parents who were protesting busing in the 70s, a lot of those were Gen Xers, and most of them were white. So I respect your opinion, Eric, but I'm going by the reality of history. And what happened in the 70s, those were younger baby boomers, but mainly older Gen Xers born in the 60s and early 70s, whose parents were throwing rocks and things at Black children in buses.
there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and people like Eric and me, especially, we have a responsibility to go in those spaces and address, these concerns. And it's hard work, and a lot of them won't listen to me. I did just want to say it's so great to have you here, Nieta. I've seen you, and I've been wanting to connect, and I wanted to
thank you so much for coming on.
Send you some flowers. Well, the other day,
Walter needed a spanking.
She recognized the other day. She's like, she recognized that was just something I wrote. And she's like, can I help you with anything? And it's just like little things like that mean so much. I got just a wonderful message and just that message of support just helps so much. And so I really appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to bringing you in on some of these more talks and having talks as we go forward.
All the work that you do.
And we're going to have you on for a Notes of the Week here soon, too. I got your message before the show. I just wasn't able to respond.
Don't worry about it.
No, we're going to get you scheduled. Don't worry. There's so much to talk about anyway that we have to have multiple discussions on all of this, all of the time. And that's part of our process is I grew up in Vermont. Like, I grew up, historically, it was the whitest state in the Union, but it was just... We didn't know a lot of outside culture just because we didn't have it. I got exposed to it when I grew up and got older, and I purposely exposed myself to it. We need to purposely expose other people to it using our lived experiences. Yes. And
this hate is taught. This race, bigotry is taught. We can get people to unlearn it, and that's our job, and
and we need
harder to reach because they've been more set in their ways
to make people unlearn it. We have a responsibility to do that.
Yeah, and we, the three men on this show, have a bigger responsibility than anyone to unlearn and teach it, because we are being the majority of the problem right now. There are others. We will not exclude any of the folks who are being the problem. There are women. There are LGBTQ folks who are the problem. There are everyone. There are people on all spectrums and all sides. There are disabled people with disabilities who are being the problem too, that are hurting their own community. We need to stop allowing that in our spaces. We need to start pushing back vocally on it, because I'm done being hurt by people and then having them go, well, you can't be mad that I hurt you. Well, yeah, the fuck I can. Because your policy is killing us. Your policies are killing us, and they're killing our friends, and they're killing our futures. And it's no longer a racial divide. It's no longer an age divide. It's no longer a demographic divide. It is us versus the ultra rich who are trying to kill all of us because they want to exploit us for the most profits out of our labor possible, and they don't give a shit about us as people or individuals, because we're just tools and cogs in their fucking machine.
Yeah. And just as a case example, the district I live in, they just had the special election for the state Senate seat in Florida, Palm Beach, Florida, where the progressive Democratic candidate whipped the shit out of the Trump picked candidate by 30 points.
Woo!
Well, I'm glad.
And these are people who have a lot of money, more money than I could ever attain in a lifetime, and they pushed back and said no.
I want to say too, we just have to stop playing by their rules, like the oppressors' rules. We have no obligation to play by those rules. Those rules are unfair, and this is another level. We have to change our thinking, not react all the time. And the media is still reacting to all this shit. We have to change it, overcome it, change the rules, something that where we can actually win.
Naida?
Can I just say one thing? I know you want me to promote myself, but I do want to say one thing.
No, before you promote yourself,
there are people in the chat actually agreeing with the point. They understand, like, there is this Gen X divide between younger Gen Xers and older Gen Xers, and it is an economic battle. But that's how it was framed in the 70s around economics, when Black people started moving into white neighborhoods after the Civil Rights Act of 1968 was signed, which was mainly around being able to buy homes. And that's when the majority of the Black flight from the inner city happened. Now, that wasn't in my family's case. Like, my family were suburban, bought their homes before 1968. But the majority of Black people who moved into the suburbs left after 1968 when they were legally protected and didn't have to go through these shell games of like having a white person pretend to be them to buy their home and then sign it, and then they had to sign it over. There was a lot of shell games for Black people specifically, and even brown people to buy homes in the suburbs before 1968. And I know this is more of like more nuanced stuff that we don't have time for, but I do think it's also important anytime we talk about economics, we cannot leave out race, because after the Black professionals moved out of those neighborhoods in the 1960s, especially after 1968, those neighborhoods lost jobs, they lost their communities. And what do you think happened in the 1980s, late 70s, early 80s? Economic depression. And those neighborhoods are now gentrified with people who are Black, who had the upward mobility to move back into those Black neighborhoods, and Black and foreign people who were not born in the United States, and white people who were all gentrifiers, not because of race, but because of economics. Because Black people can be gentrifiers if they're not from that community and they have the money to move in and move out the poorer people. So just want to make that also clear too, because it's not just about race, it's also about class. And I grew up with class privilege.
All right. Now you got to promote yourself.
So I am the CEO of Disability Community for Democracy. We have a newsletter called Nothing About Us Without Us. We primarily write from a disability perspective, but we do anything intersectional. Today is our last day of our annual subscription. It is 50% off, so it's $25. It supports our work. We are a nonprofit that is not tax exempt. So we do not have grants. We don't have anything like that. That's the newsletter. The publication is the only way that we are able to pay our bills for like stuff like Restream and Zoom and the equipment that I have, and emails, right? That's how I get candidates, is because I have a professional booking email. That's not free. So if you want to support disability liberation, disability justice, and disability rights, subscribe for a year. If you don't have it, it's $5 a month. And I just want to thank Nick and Walter and Eric for having me on. I respect your work, and I try to watch you as much as I can, but I can't always. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks, Naida.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you here.
And you're just a big bright light in this big mess of ball of rotating carbon and dioxide that we have. So,
what's your webpage, Nieta?
So
people were asking in the chat.
So if they look me up, just me on Substack, just put my first name and last name, and they click Nothing About Us Without Us, they can subscribe that way. Or if they put in Disability Community for Democracy.substack.com, they can find a newsletter, and then they can subscribe that way. Today's the last day.
And Naida's the Disability Community for Democracy is going to get, I'll make sure that it's linked in the post show notes too, so it's easily viewable for everyone, because I love the work you guys are doing too, and the things that the community is doing and bringing our communities together, because that's one of the big things we got to do, is we got to stop being disparate communities and we have to unify ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Facebook post that I posted. I said if disability orgs are not saying anything about voting rights, then you don't care about disability rights, justice, or liberation. We got to do better. And I'm starting to see the post now, but
it'll get there. We're going to get there. We're getting this machine turning. Someone who does that really well, Walter, promote yourself, my friend.
Oh, it's so great. I'm so glad to have had these conversations. And I get that same sense. I get really angry sometimes of the actions I see that aren't being taken. And I do have to remind myself to take a deep breath, because I do appreciate these wonderful communities and all the support that I get. And it really is a lot, and it's overwhelming. Yeah, find me on I'd Rather Be Writing. I have a whole list of discount tiers. Anything you can offer really helps. And I mean, we're deliberately suppressed. This kind of group here, it's deliberately suppressed. Like we said, it's the same robber barons. They own the media. They don't want the truth to get out there. They don't want people to know that they have power. They don't want everybody to know how desperate this authoritarian regime actually is. They're coming apart at the seams. We have to elevate the people, and we have to pressure people who have power to make the change today, not tomorrow, not the next day. But please jump on, grab any kind of level sponsorship. I really, really appreciate it. It needs to happen. I'll be on in a little while with Sherry Dunn and Ellie Leonard. That starts at 1, so I'll see you again. But until then, thank you for being here, everybody.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, everybody. Again, I did not have I changed my stats, so I do now have a subscriber function, but this is what I'm doing with it. So what we're doing, at least what I'm going to be doing, is supporting younger, more independent creators. For every annual subscription, which I've priced it down to $30, I am going to match, and that's going into a fund, which we're working out the details on how to set that up. Me and a couple other people, and we're going to be creating some sort of mentorship, internship type for younger creators to get them going as an independent creator, to be able to give them a stipend, to be able to have them be at least make a living, and trying to do this. So I will be matching every annual subscription that's paid for under me, goes into a fund, so that we're getting everybody, so that younger creators will be getting a 2-for-1 deposit, and just trying to build out an independent creator network. You can also find my stuff on my Substack here, and also all my writings at Blue Ant Media, where I am doing all of my medical writing, and my last piece on Palantir and how it's involving, how it's embedded itself into HHS. My new one is on Maha, and God help us on how.
Yep.
That's the new one coming out. It's on Maha and eugenics, Nick. I thought you'd get a nice little taste there.
Great.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yep.
I, as a person with a disability, I am definitely, not down for eugenics. Don't forget the
Nope.
SSI and SNAP rules that they also want to try to implement now too.
This article is more about our wonderful friend Peter Thiel, and how he's basically loaded up HHS, CDC, FDA with all his little crony little fucksticks, and everybody keeps forgetting our vice president is one of his disciples.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people that are pulling the strings on how to basically continue to keep us sick and to kill us. So
Yeah,
it's money for them, right? It's profitable to keep us, to not give us health care. So there you go.
And
Nick,
they want to profitize war crimes too.
Yeah.
Alex Carp out here saying that war crimes, if we made war crimes legal, we'd be more profitable.
We didn't even get to the EPA decision that they released yesterday either, on testing groundwater for for misoprostol metabolites.
Great.
Oh,
well, that's a whole nother topic.
Let's get these people the fuck out.
Yeah.
Let's get them out. Pressure.
Yeah.
We're going to continue upping the ante and upping the pressure.
And elevate good people. Don't just react to the bad ones. We have to elevate the good ones. Absolutely have to do that.
And so come join me here at Sick of This Shit Publications, where I'm trying to elevate good people, and I'm trying to elevate other platforms while building my own and getting my platform elevated, so y'all's voices have a home too, because I like listening to what you guys have to say, and I'm learning, and I'm trying to be better every time and better every week. And so come join us for our disability discussions, where my Chronically Illing Out show, where we were open about our disabilities and what it's like to live with them for our experiences. And we bring others on to talk about their experiences. And we cross experiences so that we know each other and we get to understand that we're all closer together. And we do our masculinity discussions and our huge pro-progressive, but pro-human Conversations, more so than anything, is the pro-humanity and the better humaning. So come join me if you can. Become a paid subscriber. Those really do help. I have, like Walter, I have discount codes for different price ranges. They are included in all of my show notes. And most of those, I think those discount codes are both forever codes. So you can either do monthly or annually with those for the discount. Please come subscribe. It really helps. As we go, I'm building out some really cool tools that I'm getting Walter onboarded with and some others so that we can start managing things much more easily and distribute our content much more broadly. So please come subscribe and come help do that, and hit the like, subscribe, and reshare button anyway. If you're on Substack, hit the subscribe button in the top right corner or top left corner, hit the like button or the heart in the bottom right corner, smash it one last time and do all those things so you can join us. I will tag Dana and Naida at the end in our post show so that they're both included in this and you can find them in their pages. Again, thanks everyone for being here for this week's Diogenes Club. I know we're missing Evan. He's going to be out for just a couple weeks. He needs a quick break to rest and recoup, and so he's going to be out for just a little bit.
We're going to be international next week.
Oh yeah, we'll be international next week.
We're going to be international,
and
I will be on the show from Bremen, Germany. Everybody, so
and I'm
going to be in a time lapse.
We'll have our first congressional candidate on next week as well for our show, and then the following week we're working on getting Jessica Denson back. She was supposed to be on today with us. She had a conflict that came up. We're going to get her back and on the show. She's reached out to both Walter and I, so we are going to have her on soon. So don't worry, everyone. We'll see Jessica Denson here soon because she's awesome too. Like, kind of geek out moment to get to meet her. That's going to be really cool. Yep. So thanks everyone. Let's stop being sick of this shit here and let's start doing this shit. Go have a good week, y'all. We'll see you again next week for another Diogenes Club. And yeah, just remember, just suck less.